Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines here. EU requires banks and 10-second transactions. How you suppose they're going to get that done? World leader speaks on the fact that the US dollar is dying and we're killing it with our own hands. We got that and all the latest updates on the XRP Ledger amendments, and you're going to want it all. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $1.86 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 3.6%. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. 46,800 for Bitcoin, 2,400 for Ethereum. Tether market cap's 94.8 billion plus. XRP is at the number 6 spot at 51 cents. We see it's up 0.1 on the 24-hour, up 3.6 on the 7-day. Range of price very quickly is tight. Yeah, we're ranging between a penny here. Now imagine what will happen once we get these automated market makers approved. It's like, oh, we got so much to talk about. We're going to talk about it too now. Let's talk about this very quickly though. Right now, I want to tell you about Link2. Listen, the best opportunity to get private equity. I know you guys have heard me talk about it, but have you clicked the link below and signed up and gone and got yourself started? Because that's really the biggest thing. Take that next step. Don't mess around. Click the link, go get started. And let me tell you, best affordable minimums in the business and the best offerings in the business. And this is not a joke. I know this is not a hype thing. This is a fact. And you can go look at the website and find out for yourself. Do the due diligence. You're going to find out. You're going to want to be on that platform. Click the link to my sponsor below before the equity runs out. You never know when it's going to run out. You're not going to get any more circles on there, ripples on there. I get so excited. Upholds on there. I mean, it doesn't end. Nevertheless, let's talk about the XRP Ledger here. And we need to know this because there have been quite a few things in motion. And I have said multiple times, certainly in the private groups that we have, and you are more than welcome to join us. But I can tell you that the XRP Ledger has some very important things happening right now, and XRP Ledger is set to dominate real asset tokenization, which is absolutely a fact. And the XRP Ledger clawback amendment has been activated, but it cannot be used with XRP. And very quickly here, just to be clear, it's not a bad thing. Let me just go through this very quickly here. And shout out to Vet, who does quite a bit of positive work out here for this community to help keep all of us up to speed that are not as savvy as he certainly is. That is for sure. Vet does great work. So validators on the XRP Ledger have formally introduced a clawback feature that could make the blockchain ideal for CBDC and stablecoin issuers. Blockchains have gained prominence over the years for their immutability and irreversible transactions. However, this inherent feature also makes them less ideal for mainstream use cases such as stablecoins and central bank digital currencies. To this effect, validators on XRP recently voted the XLS 39 amendment proposal to enable clawbacks on token transfers on the XRP Ledger. And this has been done, which will really increase the desire, they believe, of people who are issuing tokens to want to be there. So it is worth noting the newly introduced clawback feature only applies to tokens issued by projects using the XRP Ledger. It cannot be used with XRP, which is the network's native currency. And it is important to note that, right? It is important to note that. Meanwhile, the functionality is especially important for issued tokens such as stablecoins and CBDCs for various reasons. Prime among them is that the issuer may need to claw back tokens transferred to bad actors. Popular stablecoin issuers Tether and Circle have frozen assets multiple times in the past for this reason. CBDCs may also particularly require this feature as banks and traditional payment institutions typically serve as middlemen and can roll back transactions if users fail to meet certain regulatory requirements. You get the rest of this, right? So this is a huge, huge feature that is going to appeal to stablecoin and CBDC issuers. Now, I personally do not find this to be a coincidence that it's happening now. I really don't. And everybody needs to know this. Shout out to Daniel from Casino Coin. I'm not sure if everyone noticed, but XRP Ledger Devnet is now running on Ripple 2.1.0 RC1. 2.10 milestone, 100% completed. So as I understand it, this bug has already been fixed. You know what the important thing to remember here about the understanding of the automated market maker vote? Yes, we were over 80%. A bug was discovered. The votes were pulled, so it went below 80%, which means it'll have to go back above 80% now that the bug has been fixed and the new DevNet is running. The new fix is running now, right? And it'll have to get above that and see that it's fixed and then get back above 80% for 2 weeks. And then if that holds, no more issues are found, then that will be approved and brought to the XRP Ledger just as the clawback feature was. I see this system working really well. I know that there's been a lot of people that criticize this system and no, they should have found the bug before they offered it for a vote. It's like, I don't think so. I think this is a great next step. And I'm sure that there was tons of work that went on examining this. But then you brought more eyeballs onto it by bringing it up for a vote. And then it gives it another level of scrutiny. And apparently right now, this has been very positive for bringing things to the ledger. I think this process is fantastic. Now, if there's ways that they can make this even more efficient and more thorough, fantastic. I say I welcome the ideas of discussion, but you know, I'm happy with what I'm seeing here. And again, automated market makers, the ability to create liquidity pools like you've never been able to do before on the XRP Ledger. Clawbacks that are really going to appeal to stablecoin issuers and CBDCs like you've never been able to do before on the ledger. Look, just think of what's happening here. This is all happening while we find out that Maxine Waters tells Eleanor Mueller that her and Patrick McHenry are now very, very close to reaching an agreement on stablecoin legislation. Now, if this holds and we get stablecoin legislation by Q1 of this year, which is April, you're telling me that all this is a coincidence? I do not. I find it calculated and cautious and smart and very wise, in fact, that Ripple has held off on doing smart contracts and introducing them, and held off on introducing NFTs for longer than other networks, because of the fact that they could have created more problems for themselves going through this court case than they currently have today. And now we're down to one issue being resolved. And I tell you, I hope we get this stablecoin legislation because it's going to be a game changer. But listen, 83 days left to XRP Las Vegas. I say that because last year was a chance for all to unite, to meet, to socialize, to network. And obviously all those things are still available this time, and it happened at an incredible level last year. But what I'm telling you this year is, think about everything I just shared with you, and you're not going to believe the rest of this video. Think about everything that I just shared with you and try to tell me right now how you can't afford to make the investment into yourself to come learn about all the new things that are being brought to the XRP Ledger, which in fact change the characteristics and design in how it can serve the financial industry for the world. David Schwartz will be on stage. Christian Carlo from the Digital Dollar Project. This is very calculated, the people we have coming here. Uphold. I want you to think about the relationship and the recent partnership between Ripple and Uphold. You don't think that's not going to be a conversation? This is why I'm saying to you, this is not an upsell. I'm trying to encourage you to not see this as a cost, but an investment in your own education to come and learn about the very real things that are changing right now in front of us with the XRP Ledger. And you may never have to sell your XRP. What's that worth to you? A ticket here? I think so. MO White Paper has set the rules to allow crypto institutions to mint, issue fully decentralized fungible stablecoins backed by U.S. Treasury bills. Look at this. You see it all coming into play? And now Maxine Waters saying we're very, very close. And you see all of this taking place is right behind the curtain, right? The team is backed by Pantera and led by Stablecoin Pioneers from MakerDAO and Circle, who have just filed the S1 to go public. I'm just saying. Here's Jeremy Allaire from Circle right here. Shout out to Jeremy. More seamless USDC interoperability with traditional bank rails built by a regulated bank. Xapo Bank, out of Gibraltar, if my memory serves me correctly, or at least at one point, introduces USD transactions via ACH and FedWire. Uh-oh. Network is powered by USDC. Come on in. And meanwhile, the European Parliament has passed and approved new rules that require tracing of crypto asset transfers and instant payment regulations. These rules aim to prevent money laundering, enhance consumer protection, safeguard against market manipulation, financial crime, and the rest of it, with regulation mandate on instant payments from all payment service providers in the EU. Not some, including transfers of crypto assets within 10 seconds. Now, how do you suppose they're going to get that done? Because I can tell you right now, as a former global importer from my own company, 10 seconds would have been a dream if someone told me they were going to be able to send money like that around the world. That's amazing. This is amazing. Big things are coming. Who's a part of that? Who's helping get all of that done? Who's really the underpinning of that infrastructure that's going to allow those 10-second transactions to take place? We don't know yet, but we'll find out. It's all coming. Meanwhile, we heard from a world leader last night, and he said the U.S. is killing the dollar with its own hands, and it couldn't be more accurate. I want you to hear this right now. Take a listen to these two clips.
How have sanctions, do you think, changed the dollar's place in the world?
You know, to use the dollar as a tool of foreign policy struggle is one of the biggest strategic mistakes made by the U.S. political leadership. The dollar is the cornerstone of the United States power. I think everyone understands very well that no matter how many dollars are printed, they are quickly dispersed all over the world. Inflation in the United States is minimal. It's about 3 or 3.4%, which is, I think, totally acceptable for the US. But they won't stop printing.
How have sanctions, do you think, changed the dollar's place in the world?
Let me get this. I was having trouble with my mouse. Here we go. Let's listen to this.
Experts say this. Ask any intelligent and thinking person in the United States what the dollar means for the US.
But
you're killing it with your own hands.
I think that's I think that's a fair assessment. The question is what comes next, and maybe you trade one colonial power for another, much less sentimental and forgiving colonial power. I mean, is the BRICS, for example, in danger of being completely dominated by the Chinese economy in a way that's not good for their sovereignty? Do you worry about that?
Well, we have heard those boogeyman stories before. It is a boogeyman story. We're neighbors with China. You cannot choose neighbors just as you cannot choose close relatives.
And basically, that to me is him saying, look, hey, you know, the U.S. has been the problem here, and we're not about to start talking about China because they're in bed with China, right? Now, listen, don't get me wrong. It was a fantastic interview last night, and I think it was very candid at times. But we do have to understand that obviously, you know, the world leader here has positioned himself to look like he's a victim in a lot of ways. When we understand, let me stop this here. So when we also clearly understand that, you know, there is a lot of aggression that comes from Russia as well. So let's keep some of this in perspective here. But he is a nationalist, and I don't think it's a bad thing, because I don't like globalism. I don't like the globalism, one world government bullshit. That's not my bag. So, but now what I will say is, to the point he was making, and obviously you heard Tucker, admittedly so, agree that yes, we are killing it with our own hands. This is the real problem here. And every world leader knows it. The question is, what will the U.S. do about it to preserve the U.S. dollar role on the global stage? And as I have said, and we've seen this before, I put a few little things on here to make it more obvious. The last 5 global reserve currencies, 2 of them, Netherlands and Portugal, had a lifespan of their currency as the global reserve currency of 80 years. We are currently at 80 years with the US dollar. That doesn't mean that that's the end today, put a bow on it. But what it does mean is that we are in a critical window, as we've heard Brian Brooks say, or Chris Giancarlo say, or myself, or Andy Schechtman, or Lynette Zhang, or multiple others say. Even Jerome Powell has leaned into the idea. There could be dramatic change in the U.S. dollar, right, and its role and how it serves as a global reserve. I've played the clip. I don't know how fast these things happen, but this is the moment we're in. And I wouldn't let anyone around you tell you you don't have the right to discuss it or be concerned about the fact of the dollar's role on the global stage. Knowing Saudi Arabia has joined BRICS, and that didn't come up. I didn't hear that. I listened to the whole interview. I don't think I heard that part. And nobody talked about that petrodollar agreement. Was that something they agreed to not talk about before the interview? Or did it just not happen to come up? Because the reality for me is that that is a key part of what's happening right now around the world. Everyone understands that Saudi Arabia has joined. That means that they are now not exclusively using the U.S. dollar to trade in oil. And they've made that apparent, and they've done big deals with the Chinese yuan to prove it. So how much room do we have? What's the runway we have? 5 years? 2 years? 15 years? I don't know. Something has to replace the petrodollar agreement to continue to give a U.S. dollar the advantage and to be dominant, and for it to preserve its status as a global reserve currency, or it will lose its status and there will be catastrophic cascading effects because of it. Don't believe that. It's still true, and you don't have to be an economist to know it. All right. It's time for us. We got to go. That's what's going to do it for me. We're going into the Freedom Zone, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we're going. And you're going to want to come with us. It's a great way to support the channel. Costs almost next to nothing. And it's what we got to do, because it's a place where we can talk about whatever we like, censorship or not. It's our little free speech area that we've carved out for ourselves, because we know for a fact it doesn't exist out here. I don't care what platform you like the most. It isn't out here. Not in the way that it's supposed to be or intended. I can tell you that. I bear witness to it quite often. So that we're going in there right now. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you in the Freedom Zone. Come on in.